Hello and welcome to this demo video. Before we get started, I'd just like to explain to you a few things which will relate to all of the basic range spreadsheets. Number one, there is a key on the intro and setup tab of all of the spreadsheets showing what the different color headers mean. The blue headers mean that the cell's formulated, so it's locked and you can't change it. The yellow headers are where you can input data, and occasionally there might be some gray headers, which is just a different kind of data input, but we'll include instructions as and when that happens. The other thing that you can be aware of is there are ways in which you can damage the spreadsheet. So please do take a look at the link where you see this image, which will take you to a web page to show you how to better preserve your spreadsheet. Please feel free to keep a blank version of the spreadsheet somewhere, so that if you do mess up a spreadsheet that you're using, you can in fact just open a new one, a blank one. And some of the spreadsheets only last for a year, and then you've got a blank one to start the following year. So do keep a blank copy as a backup somewhere. And lastly, wherever you see this image, you can click on it. It'll take you back to the store where you purchased this product to see if you've got anything, any more products. One last thing, to see a demo video, you can click on this on a link that looks like this in order to go to the demo video, but that'll take you to the most recent demo. If in fact we've done upgrades and you're using an older version and you'd like to see the demo relating to your version, then do click on the watch on YouTube link, which will take you to that specific video on YouTube. So I think that's all you need to know. So without further ado, let's move on to this demo video. Thank you.
Right, hello and welcome to the demo video for the document shredding schedule. This is a very, very simple spreadsheet to do something fairly straightforward, but obviously for larger companies specifically, it can be quite a time saver and actually something that's quite important, especially now the GDPR and not being able to keep people's data for longer than you've agreed. You really ought to know where your paperwork is for each of your different clients and when it needs to be destroyed. Now, if it's all online, that's fair enough. You should have processes in place to track where everyone's documents are online. But sometimes if you've got paper documents, they can kind of end up on a dusty shelf somewhere and get forgotten forever. So what the spreadsheet does is it allows you to track where your paper documents are for each of your different clients. Let me show you how it works. It's very straightforward. If you want something more complicated, please do get in touch. But if you want something very, very simple, run-of-the-mill, this should do the job. First of all, you can input up to 15 types of documents. So you may have different types. You might have, I don't know what you might have. You might have client details. You might have contracts. You may have, we can name all different kinds of documents that you may keep. And you can assign a period next to it. The periods are in months. So in other words, 5 years, 60 months, 5 years. Put in how many months you want to keep the document for. And then you can put in how many pages on average those are. Now, sometimes you may have one that's much longer, other times you might have ones that are shorter, but if you do have kind of standard number of pages, put it in. The only reason we put the pages in is not necessarily so that it's a hard and fast rule, but just to give you an idea of how much paper actually needs to be shredded. So you can put in the number of pages as a default per type and the period. If you want to change the odd one, you can change it later on. I'll show you how to do that, but as a default, you can put in the default period and the number of pages. You can also put in the default period for any that are uncategorized. So if you haven't categorized them as one of these types, and also the number of pages for any uncategorized documents. You've also got your sites. Sites are different locations. So if you've got 2 or 3 premises, you can list them over here just to know which building essentially the file's been filed in. You can list up to 10. Once you've set that up, you're ready to go. It's your document list. And all you've got to do is fill in the yellow bit. So the first thing, put in the client. When you put in a new client name, as you can see, I put in test clients and new client. When you come to a new cell, those two will already be in there. If you want to add someone else in, let's just add in Spreadsheet Solutions and click Enter. Now when you go here, you'll see Spreadsheet Solutions is in there in alphabetical order. The reason why I've done that is just so that if a particular client contacts you and says, have you got my stuff, and you've put something down for Spreadsheet Solutions and then something down for the Spreadsheet guys and something down for Richard Sumner, how do you know that those all belong together? So what I've done is I've added any new names you add will add to the list. So ideally you want to select someone from the drop-down list if they're an existing client. If they're a new client, add them on, because then you'll know that they're all spelt the same. So you can sort by the column, find that particular client, and find where all their paperwork is in one place. So that's the first thing. The second thing, if you have a document number, put it in. If you don't have a document number, don't bother with that. Then select type. This is the type that you got on your home page and the page intro and setup page that we've just done. So here where I've selected type 5, it's got 14 as a default because type 5 said it was 40 pages. You can override that. So if you want to override it, you can type in here 50 for argument's sake. It'll say that doesn't match the default. Are you sure? And you can go OK. So you can override them with specifics. Otherwise, you can just select the default. Then you've got the date created. That will obviously be today's date, or I haven't put the today's date in the drop-down list just in case you want to do things that were maybe created a few weeks before or a few months before if you get to filing later on. So you can put the created date, and that created date will then check which type it is and give you the date when it should be shredded. So you should be able to just select that figure. If that's wrong and you go, no, we want to keep this one longer, we've told the client, or the client's insisted that you destroyed earlier, or whatever the case might be, you can override that date as well. Then you've got the date to shred. That's the important information. Obviously, the document number is not important for the spreadsheet. That's just for your use. You can use that if you want to. Now you've got your document location. So you've got site, room, location, file, and section. Site, you select from the drop-down list, is one of the ones you put on your intro and setup. The room, which room within that building, and you can type in anything there for the different rooms. Then a location, this is where in that room is it. So you may have shelf 5 or shelf A, row 15D, whatever you decide on your thing. I haven't limited this. I haven't limited what you can put in here. It's down to you. Just the location within that room. If you want to then name the files, if you've numbered your files or you've named the files, you can put the file number or name down here so you know where it is. And lastly, if you've got sections within your files, I know I've got the different color sections within my files, you can even go down as far as to say the purple. So you know it's in your London office in room A, location shelf B, file number 17 in the green section, whatever the case might be. You know exactly where those documents are stored, and you can really put it down to absolute detail. It then gives the month to shred and the calculated shred date. Those are just calculated based on what you put in, and that is the information that you keep. You can keep all of these lines. Let's just see how many you've got. You've got 8,000 lines, 8,000 batches of data. Knock yourself out. What does that do? It gives you a report. The report is based on the next 12 months, but if you override it, so I've put in the 1st of January 2024 at the top here. If you leave this blank, it shows you the current where there's nothing to be shredded. But if you want to look ahead, 1st of January 2024, it'll show you based on the color, so type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4, what documents need to be shredded in those months. Obviously, the more documents you got, you'll see them all stacked up here. The overdue ones, the overdue column is the only thing that stays the same. The overdue, there's nothing here. Those will be the ones that should have already been shredded but haven't been. They'll appear in the overdue regardless of which months you look at. When you go down, you can see the same graph but as pages, because obviously sometimes you may only have one document, but it might be a heck of a lot of pages. So this one gives the same breakdown but by pages, so you can see exactly what you've got in store for shredding. That's why we put the pages in. And here you can have a breakdown of the number of documents you've got and also the number of documents you've got by pages. Obviously, you can see these ones make up a consistent, obviously it's a nice breakdown here, but obviously the light green ones are quite more as far as page types are concerned, page numbers are concerned, type number 5. So that's just a breakdown of what you currently got stored, what you currently got filed based on documents and pages, and what needs to be shredded in which months. And of course, if you come to your document list and you sort by date to shred, oldest to newest, you'll have all the ones that need to be shredded at the top. You can print this off, give it to someone and go, they're the locations, they're the client files, that needs to be shredded, please, and get them to tick it off as you shred them. As you shred them, you just simply highlight the line, right click, clear contents, and then use any of these arrows at the top to resort, and it'll resort everything and it'll take it off your list, and then you know that you've shredded that. So it's a very, very simple solution. I'm sure there are more comprehensive solutions out there. And I'm quite happy to make more comprehensive solutions, but this one being a basic product, if this will do the job for you, go for it. Wish you all the best. Thank you very much, and goodbye.